You're right guys, Toolstop and DeWalt had the great idea of setting up some auctions to raise money for the Birmingham Children's Hospital. Now I'm actually the one that's going to be making the projects that'll be auctioned off. I really hope you like this project. This project starts with a sheet of 18mm plywood. I want to cut circles, so I drill a hole to create a pivot point, then using some scrap MDF I made a trammel for the rotor. Using a dowel I can spin the rotor around the centre point and cut out the circles. I gradually lowered the rotor bit with each revolution I made. Once I was past the halfway point, I could cut the circle free with a jigsaw. I could then continue to use the rotor to finish off the cut. I cut out 4 circles, all with a diameter of 50cm. I decided they would look a lot better if they was painted black. Back outside now to cut out another circle, this time using MDF. I also cut out the inside to create a hoop shape. The walls of the hoop are 25mm. These will be used as a template. I marked a couple of straight lines 35cm apart for the opening to the shelves. I then cut the horseshoe shape in half but made the cut off centre. This way the layers can overlap and create a much stronger joint. This will become clear later. Drawing around the MDF templates gave me a guide to rough cut using the jigsaw. I made sure to leave the lines though. Altogether I needed 18 large arcs and 18 smaller arcs. As you can imagine, this took a very long time. Eventually they were all cut though and I could attach the MDF templates with screws. Then I used the flush trim bit in the rotor to match the plywood to the MDF perfectly. Only the first 2 pieces of each shelf layer needed to be flushed up this way. For the first layer, the first 2 pieces are laid in place and then added glue onto the top. The second layer is added on top of that, and as you can see I alternate the sides that the larger arc sits on. This forms a kind of finger joint, a lot like a house brick pattern really. Screws act as clamps to hold the pieces together while the glue dries. When the glue was dry, the screws are removed and then the edges are flushed up to match the layer below. I repeated this process to build up 3 sections, each made up of 6 layers of plywood. The plywood had some void, so I mixed sawdust and wood glue together to make a filler. Once it was dry, it was just a case of sanding it back to reveal the plywood again. It's much easier now to finish the inside of the curve, so I went ahead and did that. I used 3 coats of polyurethane. With the finish dry, I could glue the curve onto the shelf. Once the glue was dry on each one, I could add the glue and stack them on top of each other. For a clamp, I used a very heavy hamper. The outside of the plywood needed to be filled too, so I went ahead and did that. Off camera, I glued up some walnut panels that will become the top and bottom to the table. I traced round the shelves to give me a guide, and then using a jigsaw I cut out the shape. I left the lines because I'll flush trim them later. Then it was time for more sanding. Sanding was definitely the longest part of this project, but I think it's worth it. Time to glue on the walnut. The smaller clamps hold it in place while I add the larger clamps. With that dry, I could flush trim the walnut to the plywood. I thought a round over profile would look nice, so I used the router again to create that look. I'm really glad I went with a heavy round over. This project is to raise money for the Birmingham Children's Hospital, and their logo is a balloon. I've incorporated it into the other projects that I've been making, and this one is no different. I carved out the shape of the balloon and string. Milliput was used to fill the string. Later the balloon will be inlaid with leather. I gave the outside 3 coats of polyurethane. The painter's tape in the balloon shape stops any finish getting inside. I bought 4 feet and added them to the bottom. They are adjustable so they can be levelled to the floor. Big thank you to Claire for sending me this great piece of red leather. Laying it over the shape and pressing hard leaves a mark on the back that I can cut to. It's very faint, but in the right light it can be seen. To glue the leather to the walnut, I used contact adhesive. It gets applied to the leather and to the walnut. It's then left for about 3 minutes to get tacky. I could then fit the leather in place. And that's it done. I really hope you like this one. It was a lot of work, but I think it's well worth the effort. So that's it then guys, I really hope you liked this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, I answer all comments. If you could share it around with your friends, that'd be brilliant, that really helps me out a lot. And hopefully the more people that see this, the more awareness we can raise for the Birmingham Children's Hospital. I'll leave links on the screen to the other projects I've done for the auction, so you can check those out if you haven't seen them already. Thank you all for watching again.